agenda, radical feminist agenda about abortion, well, it was a war on women, right? It's the same thing with Common Core. Their biggest argument is simply this, that if you don't support Common Core, then you just don't want standards. It is to seeking people, it is a shockingly obtuse thing to say. Education has always been about standards. It was about standards when you had one-room schoolhouses. This country became a superpower on the backs of men and women who learned in one-room schoolhouses with no government intervention, with no technical intervention, all done in one-room schoolhouses. And how did they do it? They had standards. If you're giving grades, if you're giving tests, if you're giving assessments, you have standards. American education was preeminent primarily when the standards were in the hands of teachers, convicted moms and dads who wanted their kids to learn. That's a big problem today. And respectful kids who had the ability to sit and learn. That's when it worked. And if you think about the foundation of the Department of Education in the late 1970s, this precedes this, of course, but ever since the Department of Education was founded, we've seen a radical increase in the amount of federal involvement in education. And it corresponds exactly to the time in American history where our schools have gotten appreciably worse, not better. Right? Whenever the government federalizes anything, and you have all sorts of examples about this, whenever the government cedes this kind of power to itself over something as diversity, right? Consumers can do choice. One size does not fit all. The wonderful anecdote. Which one did you marry, by the way? No, there's that's even better. All right? As long as you have this kind of availability, this kind of choice, why should kids in Chicago, inner city Chicago, have the same approach, the same textbooks, the same attitudes and tests for education as kids in rural Wisconsin or Arkansas? It doesn't make any sense. And yet what you see with Common Core is this idea that without Common Core there are no standards. The idea that they're just a set of standards. That is categorically not true. Before the standards were even written and finished and validated, the textbook companies, particularly Pearson Publishing, you know the second biggest donor to Common Core is outside of Bill Gates who paid for it? It's Pearson Publishing. Do you know that Pearson Publishing owns 100% of the Canadian textbook market? All of it. Wow. Do you know Pearson Publishing owns 80% of the American textbook market? And 98% of Common Core textbooks are Pearson textbooks. Do you know that in the last 2 years, Pearson has bought 40 different small American presses? 40. Paying 4 and 5 times what they're worth. They want that monopoly too. Do you know that about a month and a half ago, Pearson was awarded a federal contract to administer, score, and produce all the national Common Core tests? Do you know that Pearson gets paid $30 for every test your kids are going to take? 30. What's 30 times 60 million? Humble age professor. Can't quite figure that one out. But it's a lot of money. The idea that somehow Common Core are just a set of standards can't be true. Your teachers, before they even knew what it was, and that's the other thing, ask your school teachers what they know about Common Core. They can't tell you anything about it. They absolutely cannot. Other than mouth the platitudes that their state superintendents have